All right, welcome back. It is still News Up. Our very first conversation will be concerns around the export industry. Now, it is no longer news that the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment had launched the Nigeria East Southern African Air Cargo Initiative in line with the AfCFTA, which is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area framework. Now, going forward, this has been said that it would make travel of cargo movement of cargo for Nigerian exports a lot much easier and discounted to the rate of about 50 to 75%. On the show today, let's get some clarity as to what this initiative would bring about in terms of how it can help boost the nation's economy, how it could help boost Nigerian exports. Yes, so much is being talked about the need to diversify the nation's economy. Just maybe this is one movement in the right direction. Dr. Bamidele Ayemibo is an international trade and finance expert, business expert. He joins me virtually this morning. So good to have you on the show. Dr. Bamidele, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, and I hope you are as well. I hope you are.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure that initiative must have been applauded by players within the sector. For clarity, help us understand exactly what these Nigeria East and Southern Africa air cargo corridor is all about.
All right, thank you. When AfCFTA was launched, there were a lot of concern as to the implementation, as to the feasibility of trade within Africa. Two major issues confronting trade, among other ones, but two major ones that are critical to implementing the agreement. Number one is payment. Africa have over 30 different currencies. So if I'm going to ship from Nigeria to Kenya, I spend Naira, Kenya shilling, South African rand. I mean, different countries, different currencies. So Nexim, in conjunction with the AFS Secretariat, came up with the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. That has laid that problem to rest. But there's another problem. The problem is logistics. The AfCFTA guided initiative was launched in Nigeria, I think last year. It was about a year now. However, we have not been able to trade effectively because of two reasons. The gazetting of the tariff schedule, which has not been done by the government. But more importantly is the fact that people that attempt to trade, who have buyers, who are supposed to ship, find it difficult to ship because of the cost that is going to make the transaction very, very unprofitable. Which is why we've been talking about the fact that government must show commitment to support trade in Nigeria by assisting with rebate, because these are what countries do, for crying out loud. These are what, when you say a country is doing trade, a country is growing its economy, a country is creating jobs, what the country is doing is supporting. And Nigeria, for example, that have a huge infrastructural deficit with a very, very high cost of doing business, must support if we are going to be competitive, compared to other countries like Egypt, Morocco, South Africa, who are doing very well on the African continent. So there has been call for need to give rebate, and sincerely, it's commendable that the federal government and the Minister of Trade has come up with this initiative, cutting the cost of freight by 50 to 75% to Uganda, to Kenya, and to South Africa using Uganda Airlines. Fantastic initiative. But it's the beginning. It's the beginning, because we need to go beyond that, because just about 10% of trade is done by air. About 90%, more than 80% is done by sea. So that means we need a sea link that connects Nigeria to West Africa, to East Africa, to Central Africa, to Southern Africa, and East Africa. That is the next thing. So we are doing it with Uganda Airlines. We probably need to do it with Ethiopia Airlines. Ethiopia Airlines, it has more coverage than Uganda. But we are in the right direction. We have started, and it's a step in the right direction.
All right, Babidele, thank you. There are concerns. There are still many concerns around the AfCFTA. Many would also say that this is just a case of doing the right things later. We have left all of this. These are on the ground. These are on ground arrangements that could have been made before even signing into the AfCFTA. You talked about the infrastructural deficit, which for many is still a big challenge. That if we must compete, Nigerian manufacturers should get some level of interventions from government. We have power issues. We have a high cost of doing business. These are, I mean, if you don't manufacture in Nigeria, what would you be exporting? How can you compete within the Africa, the AfCFTA? These are also some very big concerns that many are raising.
Very correct, and very, very correct. However, you know, they need investment to be able to build some of those infrastructure, particularly the sea link, for example. And if there is opportunity as a result of AfCFTA, that might be an incentive for the investors to invest. Maybe that's the reason why we went ahead to sign, even though we are not fully ready with all that is required. It's a lifetime commitment. It's not something we'll get out in the next 5-10 years. It's something, I mean, ECOWAS ETL is about 30 years, so we hope to do it for the long haul. So I agree with you, the fact that it's good we are ready to go in, but also, you know, it's like Germany not signing into EU, being the largest economy in Europe. Nigeria at the time, I mean, this is a market everybody wants to be in. When we did not sign, it was like, is AfCFTA going to work or is dead? But eventually we decided to go ahead and sign. And now we have signed, and I think the fact that we have started this, so which is why your commitment as a station also talking about this is important. Increasing the conversation, putting pressure on the government to be able to ensure beyond what we've done, we now go beyond that to support in other areas to increase the productivity or the productivity of the country and reduce the cost of doing business now for us to be very competitive on the African continent.
The fact that Nigeria must begin to produce, we must begin to produce quality, we must begin to produce at a very low cost. Help us understand where we are exactly within the export sector. How well have we done? Let's even look at our contributions to the nation's GDP. The bigger picture for me here. How well has exports been encouraged? How well has exports contributed to growing the nation's economy?
Export has the potential to stop Nigeria from borrowing. Export, non-oil export, has the potential to stop Nigeria from borrowing. But we have been paying lip service to growing the sector. I really don't understand why it's not being given the priority, the right attention it deserves. By that I mean, thank God for what the minister is doing, but we can do a lot more than this. A lot more than this. And I always use the example of just one commodity that I think Nigeria can work with. There are many other commodities. I'm just using this example to show that, look, we can say we want to focus on a particular commodity. For example, soybeans. This is a product, it's an arable crop, probably can do like 2 or 3 times a year, depending on the mode of farming. But this product, the demand is almost 100 billion, and China is buying about 60% of that. Nigeria have a lot of relationship with Chinese, building infrastructure in Nigeria. Why can't we have an arrangement, a trade agreement that says, look, we'll give you the infrastructure to build in Nigeria, you also give us market in your country to be able to supply our soybean. And then the government can then support farmers to grow soybeans en masse and say, okay, out of your 60 billion, can you give us 10%? Can you give us 20%? Can you give us 5%? That we will be supplying, and then government getting the right seedling to increase the yield per hectare, provide the right financing and farm input to grow, and the government buys from the farmers and export, just the way we are currently doing within the space of crude oil and gas. We can do it. It's possible. But for one reason or the other, it's not an area we're looking at. Each state in Nigeria have exactly what it takes not to depend on the federal government. Each state in Nigeria can generate billions of dollars every year just by exporting commodities or minerals found in their state. but the government is not looking at this direction. So today, our non-oil export is about 5.4 billion. South Africa agro export, not non-oil, not just oil. Agro. Nigeria agro is about 2 point something. Non-oil is about 5.4. South Africa agro export is about 15 billion. 15 billion. That's a challenge. That's to tell you that, look, we can do a lot within the non-oil export space, but we're not doing enough. And I think it's because government is not giving incentives. Like this kind of initiative now, if people notice it and government continue to support, it's going to increase interest of exporter. Okay, now I can be profitable. And there's opportunity in Kenya, opportunity in Uganda, opportunity in South Africa. Then let me take advantage of it. I can begin to do that because the government is supporting. But when it's not going to be profitable, why will I want to do it?
Concerns that we are asking this morning, Babidele Yemibo, how confident are you that this initiative will be sustained? For crying out loud, this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria.
You know, you have asked a very, very big question. The elephant in the room. This is why ministers coming into government and coming up initiative must create a system for it to continue after they are gone. And one of the ways to do that, like this initiative, for example, we must have a way to fund it. There must be law backing it up. There must be an agency saddled with responsibility of doing it. That means there is another agency of government or a unit within the Ministry of Trade. So there must be a system and structure in place with a framework for funding and a framework that guide the policy such that no government coming or minister coming and just stop it. Because there is funding for it, maybe a public-private partnership and a law guiding an agency that drives it. And this is what they do every day and they have to do report of it. So I agree with you that how can we sustain this? It's a question they're begging for answer. I wish it would be sustained, but if it's going to be sustained, the challenge has always been with funding, a funding mechanism, public-private partnership, a funding mechanism that ensures that there is funding. For example, in Nigeria, we have the Nigerian Export Supervision Scheme, Nigeria Export Supervision Scheme, a program that government that government hire an agency that fund that is hire an agency, so hire a body that inspect goods going out of Nigeria, and 0.5% of the FOB value is used for that. We can do something like that. I don't know how the money will come, but a creative initiative that will be able to ensure that in spite of government in and out, funding is available for this initiative. If we don't do that, like you said, we might not be able to sustain this initiative.
Yes, what I am looking forward to is a framework, a sustainable framework that will not be altered by successive governments or successive ministers, a sustainable framework that is backed by some legal framework, rather, yes, a legal framework that is well backed, that would not be altered by successive government. Maybe that is what I'm looking forward to being put together to ensure that this is highly sustained. I mean, as laudable as this initiative is, this is Nigeria, like we have said initially. Now, let's run home quickly, Dr. Bamidele. Let's look at how the focus of MSMEs in Nigeria, if you must dive into the export business, or rather as an individual, what should be your focus? As a subnational, what should be their focus if indeed we must take this diversification talk a lot more seriously and be more intentional? I know you've talked about the fact that states should begin to work on areas, on crops, on commodities that they have comparative advantages on. Stay with it, grow it, encourage it, be deliberate about it and intentional about it, grow it, and begin to create capacity around it. Let's look at the MSMEs and what you think they should also focus on this morning.
The subnational can do it. The subnational are the one that can actually grow export. They are the one that can really, really help the federal government to achieve this objective. Now, they can partner with MSME. So let's paint a scenario. The scenario let's say the federal government have signed that agreement, and a state like Benue that produces soybeans is saying, look, This is what we're going to do. The state government engage with big-time farmers who are already into the farming of this, working with them to be able to educate farmers on the farming of this product, number one. Form them into cooperative across the state. Support the procurement of improved seedling with high yield per hectare. Support the procurement of fertilizer and all other pesticide and other requirements. Make them available to farmers to go and farm. Give the farmer guarantee to buy off all that they farm. The farmer bring it to a location after harvest. This product is clean and bagged and exported, and the profit come in, and the government pay the farmers and also earn income from it. And we have created a model around it such that the government will pay farmers at about 30% profit on the cost they incur, and at the same time still make billions of dollars as income. So the government will be doing two things. They'll be generating revenue and they'll be creating jobs. Two major headaches of any government: generating more revenue and creating jobs. And guess what? That can be done in export. And that can create a lot of jobs for the MSME, through the MSME. And the MSME, being an engine of the economy, can help the economy to grow and grow very significantly. And this can be done at subnational level, working with the MSME across the state, focusing on 2 or 3 crucial commodities and exporting this item. This can be done by different states in Nigeria, from agro-commodity to solid minerals to precious metal in different parts of the country.
About quality of Nigerian exports. Are we found lacking? Are we indeed competing in terms of quality with our exports? Are we competing?
I'm of the opinion that the Nigerian government to declare a state of emergency in the quality of Nigerian export products. According to the data obtained from EU, this excludes North America, excludes South America, excludes Asia, excludes Middle East. According to the data from EU, a Nigerian product is rejected daily. Every week, one Nigerian product is rejected. If you look at the data between 2020 and 2024, between 2020 and 2024, if you look at the data from the EU, you will observe that every week, about 1.34 rejection. Every month, about 5.38 rejection. Every year, about 64.5 rejection. In the last 5 years, 258 rejection. If you compare that to Ghana, in the last 5 years, 85 rejection. South Africa, in the last 5 years, 54 rejection. These are 2 African countries exporting to similar markets, but having a lot less rejection. For South Africa, the non-oil export is ×3 of Nigerian non-oil export. Sorry, South Africa agric export is ×3 of Nigerian non-oil export. But South Africa rejection is 54. So there is a big challenge with rejection for Nigeria. NAFDAC have started something in this direction, and NAFDAC has confirmed based on 2024 data compared to 2023 data, indeed, there is a reduction. In 2023, rejection was 82. In 2024, rejection was 46. So I think the effort of NAFDAC is yielding some results, but we need to do much more so that we can clean up this image of Nigerian quality product being of bad quality.
Rejection. Is it that we are not paying attention to the quality of our exports, or the regulatory authorities are not doing their job properly? If you really ask me, sometimes I even think that the monitoring agencies are overzealous or sometimes even compromised. That is why some exports scale through the borders of Nigerian borders and can't enter some other countries. What's your thought around that?
Very correct. We are not taking, generally in our country, not just export, generally in Nigeria, the data from abroad is just telling us the truth about our situation, because these are food we consume. But some other countries are rejecting it. Let me give you an example. So the major cause of rejection is contamination because of bacteria contamination. like salmonella in the food. Another cause of rejection is aflatoxin, which is as a result of growth of fungal mold. Another cause of rejection is pesticide residue. Pesticide residue, because of the pesticide added to the product either during planting or post-harvest. These are major causes of rejection, and in some cases harmful chemicals. But the major cause of rejection is as a result of not being very hygienic, meaning there is need for capacity building for farmers, for processors of agro products, on the need to be very, very hygienic, because that is the reason why salmonella will find its way into their product in the first place. So the agency concerned actually need to do much more. For example, the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service and the Federal Produce Inspection Service, they, in my opinion, have to be more indicted, because majority of the exported products are agro commodities for which this agency of government are supposed to oversee. So it's an indictment on them, in my opinion. They should do more to be able to ensure that we reduce this rejection as much as possible.
You know, Dr. Babdele, we can go on this matter, but then primarily is the fact that we're looking forward to how we can develop our export industry in terms of quality, in terms of reduced cost of doing business and all of that. Thank you. I mean, I think that a more holistic approach to the export industry is what we are asking for. Yes, fantastic initiative to have launched the cargo corridor, but then there are more that still begs to be done. Thank you very much, Dr. Babdele Ayemibo, an international trade and finance expert. Thank you for your time with us on the show.
Thank you for having me. Bye for now.